cool doing a shout out. First I want to jump off and say, used to jump off. I want to say that because I want to kind of grab a good memory in Florida. We used to jump off some cliffs. We used to jump off high bridges. We used to jump into some pretty amazing spring water. I've jumped off a few cliffs, These days, at 63, I'm not jumping off any cliffs. But what I am going to jump off is heartbreak that happens in families. I'm not going to be on here, all my life, but while I'm alive, I'm going to be on here and I'm going to share my feelings with someone out there that I know I've asked to subscribe to my channel, which is not thousands, but like I've said before in the past, if it's one person I could touch today, that's all good for me. Whether you're a believer or not, it's just life itself, teaching life to me, because when you get on here and you expose yourself, there's some courage in that, okay? Some may not like that or perceive it as something other than it is, but it's, their choice and freedoms to do what they want. But as far as Pamela goes today, sometimes people need boundaries, and we all do need boundaries, but we have to ask ourselves, are we having boundaries because ourselves could be out of control? I mean, these boundaries that we hold for ourselves, could they be cruel? Could they be like stepping over into like feelings that you're not going to be able to take back, like feelings that are going to maybe affect other people's lives, children, or anyone else, for your selfish decisions, for your desires. A lot of times people take a back seat, people sit down, people react. I'm one of the types of people out there that I really have to work on not reacting when other people in my life and family are actually provoking me to react. So that way their camp is settled, their wrongs could possibly be right. But above it all and under it and around it, inside our hearts, it's a beautiful thing that God knows. It's a beautiful thing that no matter what, on your worst day, you guys, on your worst day, God created you and He knows the intent. You can't run from God. I mean, it's like impossible. So while you cry, or while you trust, or while you're alone, or while you're waiting, whatever your story is, know that head games with other people without being able to sit down and talk, it's not from God. God's a God that does want peace. God is a God that wants things settled. He wants things reconciled, especially if there's compassion and mercy and hope, which, the Lord offers. If you were to go shopping in a grocery store, and you came to an aisle that was just all mercy, you'd get some. If you came to an aisle that was to be hopeful, you'd run and look up and down and grab. And this is just coming from my heart today. Usually I get on here and just say anything I want to say. That just came out of my heart. I picture life as like a grocery store anymore, a place that's just abundant with, all these people, all these things that people just really aren't grabbing. They're just like passing them. Time. Could you grab some time? Could you make time for somebody that actually made time for you? They didn't make time for you because they had to. They didn't make time for you as a reward that you're going to make time for them. They made time for you because they loved you in that moment, and they wanted to be needed, but not an unhealthy need. The person that receives and the person that takes and gives all have different roles. We need to ask ourselves about in those moments. I know I've overcompensated for my family and my children and the people that they've met. Again, I get on here because I'm sure it's happened to a lot of families, but you don't want to overcompensate like me, because at the end of that road, you possibly have lost respect, But God's going to touch them and give them the ifs and the whys and the how comes, and he's gonna make that real evident. Not only is it going to be in their mind, it's going to be in their heart as time goes on. But back to this grocery store, wouldn't you like to go down this aisle that has respect? A lot of people say, well, if you want respect, you got to earn it. How can you earn respect from people when respect is just like your own views of life and forgiveness and the joy of letting things go or not reacting? Respect is a word that a lot of people don't really understand. You respect a dog and give them water. You respect a child like that crosses the borders, that wants a drink of water. I'm mad at that, with the people that came across this country. Those people, they blew up their waters and spilled them. They had them hid for the children or people to get a drink. God saw that. I've mentioned that before, because to me, to drink water and not thirst is something that's biblical. A lot of people are thirsty for truth. And back to the grocery store, because I can kind of get off track. I want to focus on this grocery store that's in my heart right now, with the mercy, the hope, the respect, the love, the memories, things that we can grab that are not in our life. Could we admit that? Could we actually say to ourselves, what, I'm out of forgiveness. I've been hurt a lot. I don't want to be bitter anymore, because we can take all the sugar we want and we can make our coffee real sweet, or you can eat the biggest piece of cake, but, and you can swallow it. But if you don't ask God to change your heart and change your life and let Him rearrange some things, you're not going to be able to accomplish it. You need some help. And I've tried to do everything on my own for so long that if anybody did try to help me, I was like, are you really real? Are you really being kind to me? Because you run into these people in your life that just really are out for themselves. Now, these people that are in your life that could be using you could be family members, of course, But you know what? It's all happening for a reason, so we can know the difference in the future if that person changes. And if we trusted in them enough to say, I'll give you another chance. There's nothing better than someone helping somebody up when they're down, If someone's down and you help them up, isn't that better than pushing them further down? You can push them down in love, and you can say, hey, it's time for you to stand on your own, and it's time for you to catch your own fish. You give them fish the first time, like that story goes, and then they come back and they want more fish, and you actually give them the fishing pole and say, okay, now you go catch your own. But, sometimes we don't know when that timing happens. So it's Miss Cool talking to you guys about the grocery store full of different things. I might get back on here again. But, if you can't sit down and you can't actually talk to people in your family, and they have resentment or jealousy or all these conditional boundaries and per se, how they're going to handle things, how they're going to teach you to be a parent, it's okay to sit down and talk. It really is. So, you want to gently shut the door. You don't want to slam it, but you also want to respect people's lives and kind of follow your heart, because your heart's not going to usually lie. But it's Miss Cool saying, hey, let's try to have a grocery store in our hearts that we can run to and say, am I lacking this or that? Should I hide when I grab a little bit of that forgiveness? Hey, there's nobody on this aisle. Maybe I'm going to grab some of that, pride. Yeah. Or less of it, or take it away, or just, let's try to, be humble about things, okay? And I'm working on those things as well. It's Miss Cool saying, dance, enjoy life. I never really liked rap so much, but this brother Marcus really can preach, sing soft, and really say some things that, I feel. And I like it. It comes packaged with an anointing of who Jesus Christ is. So it's Pamela saying, I'm not ashamed of Him, and I'm learning every day. God bless. Bye.